Welcome back to this week's episode of Unlocked. And if you're watching this podcast and not just listening on your way to work or working out, whatever you may be doing, then you will see that I have my long pony in today. And I also just feel like such a cool kid today. I don't know. I'm just like really thriving in today's atmosphere. So that's really where we're at with that. The ponytail, I'm not going to lie, y'all. I have really been loving it recently because all I have to do is clip it in. Like, I dry shampoo my hair in the morning, pull it back, clip in the ponytail, and I'm good to go. It literally takes me 5 minutes instead of actually like doing my hair, putting heat on my hair, whatever. I think I'm in my like lazy girl, hot girl phase, so we'll take it. But that's where we're at. And I feel like it's been a long time since we've done a solo podcast, and there's just so many things to catch you up on. So I'm going to try to go about it in the best way possible. But before I do, I really want to address something because I was getting my coffee across the street this morning and I was looking through social media, and I saw to where someone commented that, you know, my family was this fraud and we're terrible human beings, XYZ, and how my mother faked her breast cancer diagnosis. So I was literally dumbfounded to see the accusations like that were being made. Apparently, she faked her breast cancer diagnosis to avoid court proceedings, was what this individual said. And let's take it back. She was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2012. They weren't federally or criminally charged till 2019. So that right there completely debunks your whole theory. But for people that want to know, when mom was diagnosed with breast cancer, I know dad picked me up from school. Mom had a doctor's appointment that day. I'll never forget finding out that mom had breast cancer. But she went to Northside Hospital in Atlanta. She had a biopsy done. And then my dad was like, no, I have to make sure she has the best care possible. That's when we went to Johns Hopkins in Maryland, I believe. And they said, hold on, you actually have 2 spots, not just one. And that's when they gave her the option to do a lumpectomy, mastectomy, and then proceeded to kind of give her long-term plan. And she immediately opted for a double mastectomy because the reoccurrence rate with a lumpectomy is much higher. And Grayson at the time was 6 years old, and mom knew that she could not risk the chances of her cancer coming back. That's why she chose to have a full double mastectomy. Also, too, her breasts were very large, guys. Very, very large. But with that, you have so much breast tissue that the chances of the cancer spreading was much higher, and she just wasn't taking the risk. So she had a double mastectomy, and she also had a full hysterectomy because her cancer was estrogen driven. And so they wanted to get rid of all of her female parts that produced estrogen. And then she basically went through menopause at the age of 39 and during that she would have insane hot flashes. The side effects were horrible. And the difference is now when you're going through menopause, you can supplement your body with estrogen or whatever it may be so the side effects aren't as bad. She couldn't do that because her cancer was estrogen driven. So she went through the whole process. She had 2 or 3 reconstructive surgeries. She slept in a recliner for what I feel like was probably a year beside their bed with my dad because she couldn't stand to lay all the way down. So for someone to make an accusation that my mother lied about having breast cancer at the age of 39, there truly is a special place in hell for you. It's that simple. There's a special place in hell for you, and I hope you feel good about yourself. Yeah, so just had to address that. I also, because of my mom's history, I have started getting mammograms early. I also have my endometriosis and some other female issues. So due to that, they did some mathematical equation and said I had like a 35% chance of having breast cancer in my life, which is a pretty high percentage. Also, with the food that we eat, our environment, just the pesticides, the chemicals, everything else, chances are it's probably higher. So I am being proactive when it comes to my health and making sure that I'm doing proper screening and listening to my body. You also have to do self-examinations. That is a big thing, because that's how mom, I think, found her lump. But I am going to do a Prenuvo scan soon, and I'm super excited about that because I want to know what's going on with my body and how I can either correct things that are happening or prevent things that are preventable. So don't forget, go to your annual appointments, do self-examinations. Your life is worth so much. And then I guess recently I went on My View with Lara Trump. I went down to Jupiter to Trump National, and it was such a great experience. Everyone that works at Trump National was just the kindest, most bubbly individuals who were so grateful to work there, who've been there since the president has owned the property. So that was pretty cool to see and to hear people's testimonies and just about their everyday life. That was awesome. But Lara's team was even more phenomenal. They have been so welcoming. And I love to see how God comes full circle, because Lara's makeup artist, hair and makeup artist, her name is Jessica, and she is actually from Nashville, and she did my hair and makeup like when I first moved to Nashville for the show, which is kind of insane. And we've stayed in touch throughout the years. She ended up moving to Palm Beach and is loving life, working with Lara and a lot of people within the administration. And I'm like so freaking happy for her, but it was so good to see, like I said, like our lives come full circle. And it was just amazing. I got to bring Grayson with me as well, and he was so cute. He was like holding my binder and my purse, and he was like, I feel like your assistant today. And I made a joke. I was like, get used to it. And he was like, oh, I will. Like, he was so sweet. And everyone there loved him. I think that's what I love too about the age that he's at. He just turned 19. You may have seen my birthday post on Instagram, but he just carries himself so well and is very educated and has no problem being in a room with a stranger. So it makes taking him on these adventures so much more fun. Erin Elmore was also there, and she's the director of art and embassies. And after I posted the photos on social media, she commented and was like, oh my gosh, I absolutely loved meeting Grayson. And comments like that just go such a long way, because it lets you know that like what you're instilling into these children is paying off, and other people see it too. So I could not have asked for a better experience on Lara Trump's show, My View, on Fox. Alice Johnson was the opener for my episode. Then there was me, the BOP director, Billy Marshall, who is the new Bureau of Prisons director, not the old one that I have bashed time and time again. So I just want to make that very clear. We now have a new person in charge, and I'm hoping and praying that with his leadership, there will be drastic change within the Bureau of Prisons. I know there's a lot to clean up. I know that he's going to have to backtrack a lot, but I believe that now we have someone who is in the position that can do so. So I am super excited for that. And then I think the episode closed out with Dave Portnoy. So that's a pretty great lineup, if you ask me. I do. I love me some Dave Portnoy. I mean, how could you not? You know, it's like you love to hate, or you hate to love him, love to hate him, whatever the saying is, whatever. But everything that I said on Lara's show was the God's honest truth. And I was so grateful that I had a platform to share my story and for her to ask questions. And she had obviously done her research. She knew about my family, everything we've gone through. And I'm just grateful that I got to put it out there again. They really didn't edit anything out of the episode. And for those that are involved in TV, you know, there's a lot of editing. So the fact that they kept 98% of what I said in the interview, I'm beyond thrilled. So I think the president watches every episode of her show. I mean, it is his daughter-in-law, and he speaks very highly of her. So again, I'm just grateful that I got to be on her show and I got to be in the presence of the president, really, because if he's watching it, then I'm in his presence, as I like to think. So I'm super grateful for that. I also got to see some good friends of mine while I was there who moved there, played golf. It was amazing. The golf course there is phenomenal. Like, if you've been following me recently, you know, I've turned into a golf girly. I'm truly loving the golf game. Okay. And I'm getting a lot better. Yesterday, I actually played golf and I took a beer can and crushed it up and put my golf ball on it and tried to hit my driver off of the beer can. If you know John Daly, that is one of his signature moves. And so I recorded it and I sent it to John, and I texted it to him and he responded. I absolutely love him. Love John Daly. But maybe we can put the video in on YouTube for you guys to see how insane this hit was. I'm just saying. I mean, it was wild. I hit it off a beer can. As the temps start rising, I feel that familiar urge to refresh my closet, but I'm definitely not wasting money on pieces that I'll only wear once or for just one season. Quince changes that. Their clothes are timeless, lightweight, and far more elevated than anything else at this price. It finally feels like my wardrobe matches my standards, like the 100% European linen shorts and dresses from $30, Luxe swimwear, Italian leather platform sandals, and so much more. The best part, everything with Quince is half the cost of similar brands. By working directly with top artisans and cutting out the middleman, Quince gives you luxury without the markup. I mean, y'all, I am preparing for summer, all these fun trips, and I love linen and the Luxe swimwear. So I have been buying all of their linen in every color that they have, and I am obsessed. I use Quince, and honestly, I think you should use them too. Give your summer closet an upgrade with Quince. Go to quince.com/unlocked for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's Quince, QUINCE.com/unlocked to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/unlocked. This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy. Just drop in some details about yourself and see if you're eligible to save money when you bundle your home and auto policies. This process only takes minutes, and it could mean hundreds more in your pocket. Visit progressive.com after this episode to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states. Mother's Day obviously happened, and we went and saw Mom for Mother's Day, me and the kids. And then she actually sent me a card in the mail. It was the sweetest thing ever. And it says, I couldn't let this Mother's Day pass without telling you how grateful I am for you. I could not begin to repay you for everything you've done and continue to do for Grayson and Chloe. We are blessed beyond measure. I love you always, Mama. And getting that in the mail, it was awesome just because this journey has not been easy by any means, especially just like raising kids that I didn't have has been a challenge, and a teenage girl, even more of a challenge. So I think it just feels good to know that people see you and acknowledge the work that you've put in and how hard it has been. And my mom is an angel, and I am so ready for her to be home, because the time that we've missed out on is honestly heartbreaking. Life is so, so short, and I'm ready for her to be home. So when I got back from Palm Beach, I was just going through my phone because honestly, so many things have happened. I'm like, all right, let's go through. Before I went to Palm Beach, I have got to tell you guys how amazing an experience was that I had. I got invited to a dinner by Golden and Elise Tate, and Golden's actually going to be on my podcast, so we will talk all about kind of how we met, some funny stories, and believe it or not, it kind of starts with Robert. So you guys are going to die when you hear about what happened. And this is after Robert and I broke up. So stay tuned for the next episode with Golden for us to talk all about it. But they invited me to a dinner, and it was a small group of people, probably like 20, 30 people. And it was on May 9th, and May 9th was actually my grandfather's birthday, who passed away of liver cancer. And it was such a God thing. It was like God knew that I needed this right at this time and place. And Judah Smith was in town, so Golden and Elise are super tight with Judah. And for those that don't know who Judah is, Judah Smith is a world-renowned pastor. I mean, he is absolutely amazing. I actually started going to his church back in LA years and years and years ago, when they were literally hosting it in like a ballroom of a hotel. And the church grew to be so big that they ended up having it in this huge theater. And the way that Judah speaks it's very relatable. It's not intimidating. He speaks in a way that lets you know it's okay to not be okay, and it's okay to mess up, and God doesn't see you any differently because of where you fall short. And I just love that about him. I did make notes because a lot of what Judah spoke about, it was actually pretty interesting, because he was talking about writing his new book and talking about how AI has come in and has kind of wrecked the world in a sense. We all have always compared ourselves to individuals. And, oh, I wish I could be like this person, or I wish I was smart as that person. And now we have to compare ourselves to technology. We're literally like comparing ourselves to a robot. And he's speaking about writing this book, and he's like, well, AI could probably do it better, which is a really sad place to be at. And I don't know. It resonated with me because it was all about seeing your worth and knowing that you are worthy, and you don't have to compare yourself to others. You don't have to compare yourself to a robot. You can stand firm that God created you in such a unique way that there's only one of you. And at the end of the day, AI may have the biggest, smartest brain in the world. Who knows? But something that Judah said that really stuck with me was the difference between you and AI is that AI can't feel. So what better thing to have in life than feelings, and to feel and to hurt and to come back from the hurt. After sitting through that dinner, I don't know, I just felt such a calling and such a, like, I just felt God just like nudging me. And so I had text Robert, and I had told him, like, all right, we don't need to speak, because I'm just trying to figure out like how to move on with my life. But I sent him a text and said, I know I said I wasn't reaching out, that I needed to move on, and I asked you to not reach out either. But tonight it was God, so I'm reaching out. I was at dinner with about 20 to 30 really amazing people. Golden and Elise hosted it. Just a room full of strong, faithful believers from sports, TV, music, people walking with purpose. And Judah Smith came to town and spoke. I used to go to his church back in LA, and I'll always be grateful for the way his words have shaken me awake over the years. Tonight, he spoke on forgiveness, and all I could think about was you. He said, if you really believed you were forgiven, you'd be the kindest, most confident version of yourself. Forgiveness doesn't excuse what happened. It frees you from carrying it. The more I forgive, the more alive I become. It cracked something open in me. He talked about absorbing forgiveness, not just offering it or receiving it, but becoming it. And I sat there thinking, what if that could be me? Even if it takes my whole life, could I start to look like that? So this is me starting. I want to ask for your forgiveness. Also, I want to preface by saying, before I read what I'm about to read, there was nothing that really happened. There was nothing out of the norm that happened between Robert and I. We had our little bickering, but relationships are full of hurt. So there were some things that I said that were hurtful, and vice versa. I mean, it's relationships, it's life. So there's not a relationship that has escaped pain or hurt feelings. There just hasn't. But I don't want people to run with this and think something huge happened, because it didn't. So this is me starting. I want to ask for your forgiveness for the hurt I caused, the ways I let fear or pain speak louder than love. And I want you to know I forgive you too for any hurt caused. I don't want to carry bitterness or sadness forward. I want to live a life more like Jesus, not just on the outside, but in the way I show up for people, how I love, how I let go, and how I rebuild. Even if we never speak again, I needed you to know this. I love you. I forgive you for any hurt caused. I pray one day I can gain your forgiveness, and I pray you walk in the kind of freedom that only grace can give. And that, sending that message and truly feeling it, was probably one of the most healing things I've ever done. And at the end of the day, like, Robert and I are best friends. Like, that just is what it is. So we're never going to be out of each other's lives. It just doesn't work that way. And he sent a very long message back as well. And I don't know, it was very healing for me. And I was just so grateful for Elise and Golden for inviting me to that night, because I needed it more than I ever thought that I did. And I also brought Grayson with me. And like I said, Grayson's my little sidekick. And when we left, he was like, I really liked Judah. He was like, he was so cool. I felt like I could truly like feel what he was saying, and it wasn't judgmental, and it wasn't preaching at me, and like, I really want to listen to more of his stuff. And nothing makes you feel like any more happiness than having a young adult want to explore their relationship with Christ, and the ups and the downs, and it was just a really cool experience to see Grayson resonate so well with what Judah was saying. So I encourage you, go and read Judah's books, go listen to his sermons online. He truly is amazing, and I'm going to try to get him on the podcast soon, just because I feel like he will change so many of your lives with the words that he speaks and the way that he speaks them. So I'm going to try to get him on soon. But that whole night was amazing. The next day, we all went and played golf, had the absolute best time of our lives. And then let's see. So there was that event. And then I also got invited to a charity event called For Others. And this event was absolutely insane. For Others helps kids who are in the welfare system. And I had no idea about this organization until my friend Will Waller told me about it. And his family's organization works close with For Others and donates. And I went to this event and I literally was just in tears. There was nothing that I could do to stop the tears from coming. It touched my life in a way that I, once again, never expected. At this event, first off, I've never been in a room with more money in my entire life. Like, I was dumbfounded. They ended up raising an insane amount of money that night, and it was all for a great cause. So For Others was actually founded by Chris Tomlin and his wife. And Chris Tomlin is arguably the #1 Christian artist of all time. Yeah, so he has just changed so many people's lives. I remember back at, gosh, what was it? Was it like the Verizon Wireless Amphitheater in Atlanta maybe? Or it was like North Point Amphitheater, something. Chris Tomlin would always perform at like Thanksgiving, Christmas time. And I just remember being in middle school and like feeling Jesus through Chris Tomlin's worship music. Like, he has impacted my life ever since I was a kid. And now to be in a room with him for an organization that he founded to change children's lives was such an absolutely amazing experience. All right, guys, if you've been listening to my podcast for the past few months, then you know that I've been telling you about how incredible Sono Bello is. Then I got this note from one of my followers and I wanted to share it. The Sono Bello staff is absolutely amazing. Every time I went for my appointments, I felt like I was seeing family. My journey is still going strong because I took a chance on Sono Bello. Thank you for all of those who helped achieve my better me. Stories like this are truly what makes Sono Bello the absolute best. The more people you talk to, the more you hear that they're the experts in advanced micro laser fat removal. But you can't beat the care you get from their entire team. In just one visit, you can get rid of that stubborn fat just in time for warm weather. That means feeling amazing all summer long. Advanced microlaser fat removal is the permanent solution, and Sono Bello doctors are the experts. Right now, they're running a spring savings event, so schedule your free consultation now at sonobello.com/unlocked. That's sonobello, BELLO.com/unlocked. So For Others, like I said, was founded by Chris Tomlin and his wife, and I never truly realized how many children and families were impacted by the welfare system. So I just went to their website because I want to read to you guys the stats. Because as I sat there at this dinner and heard these stats, I literally had goosebumps go all over my body and tears roll down my face. So, symptoms of the crisis. More than 7 million children are impacted by the child welfare system, and over 368,000 are in foster care. 90% of these children will experience severe trauma. About 50% will reunite with their biological families. 25% will attempt suicide. And for the 20,000 young adults who age out each year, 81% of young men will become incarcerated. 71% of young women will be pregnant before their 21st birthday, with half of their children destined to be placed in the foster care system themselves. 40% will be homeless within 18 months. And 97% of these young adults will immediately enter into chronic poverty. That, again, like, I literally have goosebumps once again. I had no idea that this many children were impacted. And so for others, their solution is, for others is obsessed with an unwavering commitment to serving and empowering states' existing public and private stakeholders to collaboratively solve their specific needs, ending each state's crisis. A well-being ecosystem provides 4 categories of service to a state's existing system. Number 1, provisions, crucial resources and services needed for families and children. Number 2, regulations. Regulations, shared metrics towards desired outcomes. Number 3, support, providing necessary resources for accessibility and scalability. Number 4, cultural, experiences that provide dignity and hope. Our working solution theory. The well-being support ecosystem will be committed to using outcomes-based and data-driven solutions and technology platforms. Preserve and reunify birth parents and kinship. Number 2, recruit and retain ideal family placements, foster care, and adoption. And number 3, community empowerment, holistic support systems for families and workers. So, for others and what they stand for and the fight that they have is now something that I know as an individual I can stand behind. And all that I could think of was, as I was sitting there, was Chloe and Grayson. And if mom and dad would have left and they didn't have anyone, where would they be today? Where would Chloe be? Where would Grayson be? How would it have impacted them? What kind of abuse would they have endured? Where would they be mentally? Like, I just kept asking myself all the questions. And I thought to myself, I want to be a person that fights for children who get left behind. Whether that's your birth parents just were not capable of raising children or struggle with addiction or are incarcerated. Whatever that story may be, the story doesn't matter. What matters is saving these children's lives and giving them a chance at a brighter future. And for the 20,000 or more children who age out of the foster care system that no one really wanted, because they were a teenager and they were too difficult or whatever the excuse may be. That's where I feel like I have a heart for, is to help guide and serve these individuals and let them know that there's life on the other side of the hardship. So I guess that's just me saying that was the experience that I had for others. So go and do your research. You can go to others.com and learn what they do. There was a young man that was there at the event, and they played a video of him sharing his story. And he had an abusive biological father, and finally one day it just got to be too much. And he and his sister, he looked at her and said, just run. And they ran to there was a church. And so they ran into this church, And they ended up falling asleep on the church pews. And they woke up a few hours later and he was like, all right, we should probably leave. And as they were walking out of the church, he saw the offering bin. And he ended up taking all of the money that was in that offering plate. And he left a note, left an IOU, and just said, like, I'm sorry, but I needed it type deal. And once they left, they went to the Waffle House, got a hot meal. And then years later, 4 others obviously impacted his life. And years later, he went back to that church and paid them back the money that he stole plus interest. And to hear the impact that this organization had on his life and how his life is forever changed and there's hope in his future was absolutely amazing. So I guess this is just a little encouragement for you today. If you feel led to give to a good cause, or maybe if you or you and your spouse feel led to look into fostering children, being a foster parent, being a foster family, I encourage you to pray about it, because there are 368,530 kids in foster care, and there's only 195,404 foster parents. So that is astonishing. Like, we need more individuals, and I know it's not easy. I know it's a calling that God has for your life, or whatever that calling is, you will know. But I just hope that this is maybe a nudge for you guys that feel that maybe that is your calling and you're just scared to do it. I would say just look into it. And if you don't feel led to be a foster parent and you just feel led to give, then do that as well. And you can go to forothers.com and you can do a one-time gift. You can do a monthly gift, as little or as big as you want to give, whether it's $1, $5, $10, every dollar counts. So that experience, I've always said that, like, I've said since I was a little kid, I went on a mission trip to St. Lucia. And once I came back, I was like, I know that, like, God has a plan for my life, and I know that I'm going to adopt one day. I've always said that. And then once I was sitting at this event, and I was just overwhelmed with a sense of just emotion and just feeling God, like, tugging on my heart on how I can show up better in this world. And so I had my friend Will set up a call with 4 others. I think it's actually either this afternoon or tomorrow. He's going to let me know. But I want to become more involved in their community and helping guide these kids who are aging out of the foster care system, and also work with lawmakers and legislators to change legislation that we currently have, and to set up a system that truly fosters these children and gives them hope for a brighter future, and gives them the tools, life skills, education, all the things that they need in order to succeed. Because I believe our welfare system is broken and we're letting these children down. And children shouldn't have to suffer due to an adult's inability to live life in the right way. So I just feel led, and that's going to be something now that I start speaking to people more often about in DC. And when I go back, I'm supposed to be back in DC on Thursday at the White House. And I just feel it on my heart to truly make a difference when it comes to this area. So if you guys feel led to make a difference, we can put the link in the show notes of today's episode so that you can go read about 4 others. You can donate whatever it may be. Every dollar counts, and to change these kids' lives, I mean, it's amazing. So that event changed my life forever, and I hope maybe this podcast can change yours. But with that being said, as I look through my photos to see if I've missed anything, life has been full circle. Literally, I've been running 90 miles a minute, and I am forever grateful. And when it comes to mom and dad and them getting out of prison, I guess that's the last thing I'll touch on. I am obviously sharing our story and the injustices that have happened. I went on Lara Trump's show. I have spoken about it very openly and freely on my podcast and other platforms, and I will continue to do so. But like I said on her show, I don't just do this for my parents, and I'm not going to stop speaking once my parents come home. This is for all the individuals who feel like they can't speak for themselves. And to hear the hope that my words give these individuals who are incarcerated, I mean, it brings me to tears. The emails that I got from men who were in prison. One of these men is in a prison in Memphis and emailed me and said, hold on, I want to read it to you. He said, "Tonight with Lara, 34 men aged 28 to 60 plus, represented by every race and background, all just demanded to turn up the volume in the main TV room on a Saturday night at Memphis Dorm B at FCI Memphis, just to hear your interview. I'm very proud of you, young lady. Well done." And to get emails like that and to see that, like, as hard as this journey's been, and when it feels like no one's listening to what I'm trying to do and what I'm trying to raise awareness for, these men are. And they're listening and they're rooting for me, and what I'm doing is giving them hope in their future. So sometimes that's all we need to keep fighting, and to hear that, it made a world's difference in my life. So I don't know what's going to happen with mom and dad. I know that I'm continuing to fight for them, and I hope and pray that the administration sees what everyone else has seen, and just the corruption and the injustices and the weaponization of the DOJ, just weaponization of government agencies as a whole, IRS. I mean, all of them. I hope the Trump administration sees that. But regardless of whether they see it or not, it doesn't take away from what I'm doing. I'm going to continue to fight and stand strong. And obviously I want my parents home, but that doesn't dictate the way that I fight. So just keep praying. I did have a friend this morning message me, and she has been absolutely amazing, but she sent me a Bible verse this morning, and it is 2 Timothy 4:7, and it says, "I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith." And she sent this to me as encouragement of how she is praying and how she knows something good is going to happen soon, and how we just have to keep praying. So I guess I will leave you with this. If you're going through something tough in life right now and it's hard to put one foot in front of the other, just know that you're continuing to fight the good fight, and know that you will eventually finish the race. And throughout it all, just keep your faith, because that's the one thing that no one can take from you. So until next time, I love you guys. I appreciate you. I hope you love the life update. Lots of big things happening. And now we're going to have Golden Tate on next week, and it'll be one heck of an episode, because now you get to hear the backstory of it all.